Hello again. For this video, I want to answer some of your questions that were submitted on Moodle, questions about the drama essay. I only got a couple of these, so this is going to be pretty short, but I will answer the questions for the, two people who submitted. Okay, so here's the first one. So this person says, my question is related to using the references or works cited. Would it mean that I must use information that was discovered on the webpage and write about it in the essay? Or can I just sort of read it and take away the information and use some of it and not all of it? I'm not sure if I totally understand this question, but when it comes to using research and putting the research into your paper, you should have specific quotes, right? Sometimes I'll see students put something in their works cited, but there won't be any specific quote from it in the paper. And I guess that's them saying that they read something and it influenced how they thought, but they didn't use any specific quote from it. In order to have something as a reference or as a works cited page, you need to have a specific quote from it. So you might not be able to use the entirety of it, right? But I would try to find at least one specific quote that you can put in, and then you can have the citation for it, and you can point to that as the specific thing that you got from the source that you're citing. Um, like for our other essays, for this one, I'm asking you to have one source that's either from a book or from databases. If you use Orientalism by Edward Said or the other essay that I gave about M. Butterfly, both of those would count as satisfying that requirement. Because that essay I just got off JSTOR anyway. And Orientalism by Edward Said is a book, so those would both count towards that if you are going to be using those. But yeah, if you're going to include something as a source, you need to have a specific quote from it in your essay. All right, next question. This person said, I've had trouble staying on topic for my essay and sticking to the main idea of the question. I find myself drifting away from the topic at some points. So I think this happens to a lot of people. We'll start writing and then kind of forget what the main point was and get off track or something. This is one of the reasons that I think doing at least a little bit of pre-writing or outlining it is important. So I always encourage students to have a piece of paper, while they're typing up their essay, to have a piece of paper next to them that has their thesis written on it, and maybe even an outline, some bullet points of what each of your paragraphs is going to be about. Because that way, if you're typing and you're like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to be talking about here? You can look back and you say, okay, well, this is my thesis. I'm trying to prove that, M. Butterfly shows us that stereotypes are untrue and harmful, or whatever. So you can look back at your thesis and make sure that whatever you're writing connects back to that thesis. I really think that this question, the idea of feeling like you're getting off topic or you're straying off from the main point, I think what we really need to do there is get clear about what our thesis is and make sure that all of our paragraphs connect back to the thesis. And that'll give your paper a more organized feeling, and I think it'll ultimately be more effective. So you want to make sure that you have a clear thesis that you can point to and that you can connect every paragraph back to. Um, and then, yeah, you could even, like I said, like I've talked about over the semester, have a little outline where you have some bullet points for what you're going to talk about in each paragraph, maybe what quotes you're going to use in the paragraphs, and that'll keep things more structured, and hopefully you'll be able to see how each of those paragraphs can then connect back to the thesis. So I would really make sure that you know what your thesis is, right? I met with some students today for those optional meetings, and that was the main thing we ended up talking about. What is the thesis? How do we be as clear as we can about the thesis? So if you feel like you're getting off track, I think that's the first place I would go. Make sure you know what your thesis is. Make sure that you're connecting back to it and you're always trying to prove that thesis. All right, well, those are the only questions I got, so I guess I will end it here. If you do have any other questions, please reach out and I'll be happy to try to answer them over email. And I'll see you soon.